Welcome to the Cruise Diary for TTG. I hope you're enjoying these diaries, by the way. If you've got any comments or questions, or you want me to cover something in more detail, do drop me an email. I'll put the address up at the end, and I'll do what you tell me. The big story of this week has been the Allure of the Seas, the new ship from Royal Caribbean. She's going to be the biggest ship in the world. Now, she's a twin of Oasis of the Seas, so you'd think that would mean that there are two ships that are the biggest. Well, Allure is going to be 3/10 of an inch longer. I guess they've just sort of welded a rivet onto the front or something. So she will actually carry the title of biggest ship in the world. 5,400 passengers, about 2,000 crew. Anyway, the Allure looks absolutely sensational. Although she's the same design as Oasis, they've tweaked her quite considerably. The entertainment, for a start. On Oasis, you've got Hairspray, the musical. Well, on Allure, it's going to be Chicago. It's just superb, isn't it? Musicals like that at sea. These ships, you know, they can really carry the name resort ship. Because we've already got the big ones. We've got Independence of the Seas, the Norwegian Epic is probably the closest one actually to Oasis and Allure. We've got the Ventura. Big ships like that are packed with things to do on board. Well, Oasis and Allure, they take it a step further. In fact, the ports that they go to, they're going to be tooling around the Caribbean. And they're very nice too. But really, I think going ashore is going to get in the way, because there is so much to do on these ships. They're changing a couple of things on Allure from Oasis. I'll just run through a couple of them. On Oasis, they have the Solarium Bistro. It's up by the spa. Fabulous spas and gyms on these ships, by the way. Marvellous. And the Solarium Bistro on Oasis, it was healthy food, the healthy option. Well, on Allure, forget that. It's meat. They're not having the Solarium Bistro. They're having it's called a churrascaria restaurant, and it's actually going to be called the Samba Grill, and waiters come round basically with platter after platter of meat on skewers, and you can sort of eat all you want. There'll be a cover charge for this. It's going to be $25, $15 if you just hit the salad bar and don't actually eat the meat. And there are quite a few, obviously, extra charge dining venues on all of the new cruise ships these days. But, well, on Oasis and Allure and on the Epic, there's actually quite a few. It's worth bearing in mind that although when you go on a cruise, your basic fare includes all the food, but more and more ships now have specialty restaurants where they charge you a bit more. It doesn't necessarily mean that the food's any better. It usually means, however, that the decor is a bit nicer, it's a bit quieter, a bit more intimate. The service is expected to be absolutely top-notch. But just be aware that if you want to go to some of these places, you're going to have to pay for it. Now, Allure and Oasis, they are really resort ships. They're actually divided into neighbourhoods. You've got Central Park, which is nice and quiet. It's got trees and plants and things in it. A gorgeous restaurant called 150 Central Park. It's actually named because it was block number 150 when they built it or something. But very nice. You've got the Boardwalk, which is it's like a seaside funfair kind of a place, a cross between, I don't know, Southend and Coney Island. There's a carousel. And it leads on to the Aqua Theatre, a marvellous water-based entertainment place with divers that dive from an enormous height. And of course, you've got the Royal Promenade, where they have parades, and it's lined with shops and bars and a pub. Brilliant. A couple of other changes they're bringing in on the Allure. On Oasis, it's called the Seafood Shack, and it's never done particularly well. They're getting rid of that, and they're putting in Rita's Cantina, which is going to be a Tex-Mex place. There'll be an extra charge for that. Also, Johnny Rocket's Burger Bar. Well, next door to that on Allure, there's going to be a hot dog bar or something. I don't know actually whether there's going to be extra charging for that. Now, the cruise market is expanding, and people who have already done the Med, they've done Norway, they've maybe done the Caribbean, they've done Alaska. Dubai is growing at an enormous pace, guaranteed weather. And keep your eye out for Japan, because the Japanese and East Asia, basically, they're now trying to get themselves up into the cruise market too. Obviously, Star Cruises based out there, they're the major players, but Costa, they're big too. Princess, Royal Caribbean, Holland America even, and at the top end of the market, Silversea. they're all doing more and more port calls in and around Japan. It's a great market. I'd love to go there. Gosh, I'd love to go to Japan. Now I'll finish with some news about Hurricane Earl. It's moved on now from the Caribbean. They're getting themselves back into shape and the itineraries are returning to normal. The Hurricane Earl is now giving the northeast coast of the US a bashing, and that means that for cruise ships, ones that were due to call in at places like Boston, New York, Halifax, Nova Scotia, they're changing their itineraries around. Even the Queen Mary 2, which has sailed over from Southampton into New York, she's going to stay put until Saturday because she doesn't want to sail passengers through really, really rough weather. Not that the ship couldn't do it, but it might be a bit dodgy for the passengers. Again, it's great about cruising, isn't it? You can just follow the good weather, or at least stay out of the really rough stuff. It's brilliant. That's it for today. I'll be back next week with more cruise news. Meantime, have a great weekend. Bye-bye.